Welcome to the Fishbowl with everybody. My name is Chief here, and joining me today is Mike Honcho and Jalen. Welcome to the show, guys. How y'all doing tonight?
Surviving.
I'm
Surviving?
doing I'm doing well, Chief. What's going on, Mike?
Nah, same old, same old.
All right, so we've had a hot slate of games last week. My knees, well, actually not really my knees, my thighs haven't recovered. I am burnt like a rotisserie chicken on the bottom half of my body. Mike can attest to that. Mike, you're dealing with the same thing I'm dealing with, except like it's your face, huh?
Yeah, my face, my legs, my arms. And not only am I dealing with the burnt, I'm also dealing with the falling down the steps. No alcohol was involved in the process of that. Just me not me not actually seeing where I'm walking down steps, and it took a stumble and did a pretty good number on my legs. So what a day Saturday.
Well, I mean, a lot of other people were having a worse days than we have. They had over 20 plus people that were taken to the hospital from Cajun Field due to the heat there on Saturday, and they also had they ran out of water by halftime. I remember going up there during the third quarter, and it was bad. Luckily, I got like kind of, would you say, cold but not really too cold. A Coke just to have something to drink. I didn't care. I just went up to it, got me a Coke, went up there. Um, yeah, there was like no water up there. They did have a sign with people that said free water later on in the game, but I mean, you got to be better prepared for that kind of stuff there. That's one of those situations where, luckily, I think everybody's going to make a full recovery, but I mean, that could have been really bad if given the situation like heat stroke and stuff. So you got to keep yourself hydrated and stuff in those situations. But yeah, this poor performance from I would say I don't know if Sodexo is running the concessions at Cajun Field by that point there because they go through these things every once in a while. Like I know they got like volunteer uh like kids to come in like for Acadiana High, or Lafayette High for their band or whatever and volunteer. I don't know if Sodexo supplies them or whatever. Whoever caters the event needs to do a better job, basically. I don't think it's really a UL thing. Well, the only thing UL is involved with is the TV contract there where, but basically, once you sign that contract, you don't really have a say whenever you're like going to play that game or whatever that time. So that's basically what it is. What you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think we just need to always learn our lessons. And ESPN maybe is going to talk to their commentators about this. But 11 o'clock games for a Louisiana team in general, and this time of the year is just not a good look. It's always hot. I mean, I know they even had problems at the LSU game where people were passing out. And I mean, if you even look at the stands, they were fair, not empty, but they didn't have a full crowd like you'd expect. Having UCLA go over there. So it's just really hot, and I just feel like Louisiana shouldn't have these games. If we want to do 11 o'clock games, let's push these back to the end of the year, around November and December, to where it can be more enjoyable, and we aren't having to buy, 5 or 6 things of water just to watch a football game.
Jalen, what you think about the situation?
Yeah, I think it's just crazy because I mean when you see because I remember Chief, you told me and just hearing from a lot of other people saying how they really just ran out of water. I don't. I mean, I feel like that with the hot temperatures, you have to prepare for that in advance. So I know normal probably capacity is you have a certain amount of water, a certain amount of alcohol that you have to keep up with. There are people in charge of that, yada yada yada. But at the same time, if you know that everything is going to be hot with the temperatures and everything, you have to double that, maybe even triple that, especially with a big game like this. UF's playing Tulane, in-state opponents. I mean, it was a packed house over there. So I think it's going forward, let this be a lesson. But I do feel like that this should have never happened. It should never ran out of water. It's hard to believe that honestly, but I mean it did happen. I think that I'm not gonna say somebody dropped the ball, but I would say just for next time they better just prepare.
Like, I know there's a couple of people that like are pretty good to resistant to heat and stuff that can tolerate these temperatures because you're either working outside, you get used to this kind of stuff, but not everybody works outside and stuff. So you got to cater to everybody somehow, some way. Um, But I think what I'm just most disappointed about with the whole entire situation was the fact that technically we don't have a full stadium. This was not a full stadium. We had a whole side of the stadium that wasn't really used, that we couldn't use because it's under construction and stuff like that. But I mean, it might not have been as bad if that part of the stadium was uh, under construction. Because this well, Mike and Jalen, that you could go sit underneath there and have some shade and actually cool off a little bit right there. Um, Whereas Saturday there was not really that many places to go get in the shade where you had the pavilion behind you where the bell towers at and stuff. You had that spot, and you had the spot by on the I think that's the visitor side, west side basically of the stadium where you could actually go, sit on that side and get some shade yourself there. They did have the cool zone, the hospitality tent that you could have went there, but I think you only can go in there if you're a hospitality member. I've never seen that somewhere. But yeah, like that's one situation that UL and everybody involved is going to figure out how to deal with and stuff. But it was a bad situation all the way around. That it's kind of unexcusable that we shouldn't have this situation, especially in South Louisiana. I think it's more on ESPN than anybody else though, because like I said before, I've been saying this for like over a year. The TV contracts are going to dictate when these teams play. No matter who you are, the TV contracts are running everything in college athletics these days. So you just basically sit where you're at and just hope for the best. So without further ado, let's start talking about this. Let's recap the Tulane game, and then we're going to go into the Wake Forest situation here. Louisiana opens as a underdog here, 3-point underdog from what I saw earlier this morning. I don't know if the line has moved or not, but um, Tulane rushing attack was fearing. They were very fearsome. The play against the Cajun defense was. Mike, anything that you think that the Cajuns could have done, maybe stop the run?
Uh, I don't really want to get started on it. You would think after they ran the ball as many times as they did, you'd think UL would change up their defensive scheme and do something different, and yet nothing changed. And by the time the fourth quarter came about, it was hot. People are tired. I can understand how it was getting a little bit harder and harder to perform out there, but yes, I mean they ran the ball down the throat, and it wasn't even fun at one point. It was just okay, run the ball, and kudos to them because run the ball wore out UL's defense, and the heat didn't help either. So it was easy pickings for Tulane.
Jalen, what you think?
Yeah, I think altogether, when you give up 272 yards rushing, that's not great. But they did go against a great team in Tulane, and I'm gonna give Mike his props. He did pick Tulane to win the game, so I'm the first time saying that, Mike. You did pick them, so
Yeah,
I'm
good job, Mike.
I
yeah,
wish I was wrong.
but
I think you're the only Raging Cajun podcast person in the whole entire Lafayette DMA to pick Tulane to win the game. So congratulations, Mike.
hey, but
Yeah, I said it's one I'm not. It's one I'm not proud of.
yeah, but essentially, but Makai Hughes, man. I mean, to say that he's what 5'10", 5'11", he's 200 pounds. I mean, that dude had over 20 carries, over 100, and it was 166 yards total that he had rushing. I mean, that just he was just unbelievable. They really couldn't stop him on defense. It was, I think, going into it, we were really talking about more of you all need to stop the passing game, but rushing is what honestly they needed to stop in this game the way it was going for Tulane. But it's crazy because I think not I think I know that the Cajuns had the game until that crucial pick six right before the half, and that's when Tulane just kind of took all the momentum with them into the second half. I know it's kind of back and forth for touchdowns, but in the end, Tulane just made better plays, and special teams didn't help. The special teams and the rushing attack that Tulane had against the Cajuns just ultimately just beat the Cajuns. I hate to say it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, considering here, Ben did get out to a bad start. He was missing wide open guys, leading them too far. I don't think he really was setting his feet that well, but he did play better in the second half, which was, kudos to him. And the Cajuns' offense was keeping pace with Tulane for a while. It wasn't like it was one sided game. They were keeping pace at certain points there, given the situation and everything there. But um, I don't really like the thing I'm disappointed most about it is the Cajun coaching staff said this is why I think asking coaches, questions about their team is kind of a mute point kind of thing because they're just like politicians. They're going to do coach talk or they're going to lie to you basically. Yeah, we fixed that problem. When you know you're going to go over there and you didn't really fix anything at all because it usually is the same thing. Like look at what's coming out of Baton Rouge in the preseason when they were talking about LSU. Look at what the Cajuns were talking about whenever they came out themselves here, saying that we really pride ourselves on stopping the run, and then when you come out to a game like this, someone that's a measuring stick kind of game, you get this kind of result there. So I mean, look, I'm not defending them there. I don't think they did what they needed to do, at some points there. If you know that you're getting gashed by this offensive line that's pushing you back off the ball, you got to put more guys in the box and tell Tulane to beat us through the air. Guys were running into the backfield over pursuing plays and they couldn't contain the edge and they would bounce off the outside and get 5 to 7 yards per carry basically by that point. So you can't steal the edge, and you know what? You ain't got nothing there against Tulane. They had guys that were pursuing plays, like I was mentioned earlier, when they would call a blitz at times. I would see a guy like the outside linebacker come in on a blitz and then over pursue the play and arm tackling. Nobody was wrapping up. Fundamental stuff. Just come down to fundamentals. If you know how to wrap up, you can really get the job done. So the Cajun defense is going to have a lot of work to do to get at Wake Forest, but I'm not looking too fondly about this matchup here. It's one that it's gonna be a tough one. What you think, Mike, that the Cajuns need to do to beat Wake Forest?
A lot. I told everybody on the show this was going to be a measuring stick game, and I mean the measuring stick kind of got lowered tremendously for me. Watching the game in person, I kind of, you know, two penalties. If I'm not mistaken, it was back-to-back draws where we get intentional grounding. That was crucial. Play calling on the drive before the second to last we had. It was second and what 15 or 17, and we decided to
Mm-hmm.
run the ball twice. And then on the third play, we do a pass behind the line of scrimmage, trying to pick up the first down on fourth down, and you're sitting there wondering what kind of play call is that? Because now they have the ball right there, and ultimately Tulane missed a field goal and gave the Cajuns a chance, but we start making a drive downfield, and then we get intentional grounding and a few missed calls later, and stuff happens. And I mean, UL, in my opinion, got away with a lot of penalties. Trying not to be the biased person, I was sitting there watching some of these penalties getting thrown against Tulane. I was like, oh, I don't know, or some that weren't called. I just a lot of stuff. I thought Ben was better at quarterback than he was, and he a lot of crucial plays that where he could have converted a first down. He overthrew or underthrew in some cases the receivers. And I get he was pressure a lot during the game, but if you want to be that kind of quarterback, you're going to have to step up, and make those passes. So, I mean, I think the Cajuns got to fix every part of their team. Because nothing impressed me this weekend. Yes, their offense hung on for a good bit, but honestly, it wasn't. Nothing impressed me with this Cajuns team to make me think that they actually have their stuff together this year.
What you thinking, Jalen?
Yeah, I think, and I'm agreeing with Mike. You said they have a lot to think about on all sides of the ball, not just defensively, offensively too. With Ben, a lot of his passes, I know we talked about before. A lot of the deep passes weren't really there. He did miss a lot of uh, a lot of open receivers, and but defensively too, like you said too, Chief. There's a lot of missed tackles. The one thing I know for sure, the Cajuns to go into this game, and they need to get a sack because there's I can't believe this Cajuns team with all these great players on defense, and they don't have a sack yet so far this college football season. That is mind blowing to me. I still can't believe that that's actually a thing. I mean, but I mean, it is. I think that's the mindset going into defense and on offense. You just need to look for the receivers. I mean, it's hard to believe that Harvey Broussard didn't really have an impact on the game. Jacob Bernard only had two receptions for 20 yards. So the tight ends played great. I would say that Terrence Carter had a touchdown, 4 receptions. Caden Jensen caught a touchdown in the game to help them come back, and that was good. But overall, I think rushing and the tight ends did their thing. But as far as the rest of the receivers weren't much involved. Ben made some great runs too. I mean, he had some wheels that are like that we've seen before, but he picked it up a notch this game. He wasn't even sliding either. He was like, I'm trying to pick up these yards. Like I'm not losing anything. So I love that mentality, especially for a quarterback. But overall, they do have some things to clean up, like Des talked about, and special teams. The coach was upset with special teams for allowing that kickoff touchdown. That kind of changed things too in the second half, even though they were able to score right back. But it's that was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you take away the pick six and the kickoff return for a touchdowns, Cajuns win. That that's 14 points. Also, I didn't like the fact that um I think the 2 point conversion thing was kind of a weird call. I don't think it was needed. But I understand why. I think it would have been a field goal to that point if they would have converted. So I don't really people were kind of blowing it a little bit out of proportion there. Um Whereas I think we got stuffed within like our 5 yard line and had to set up for a field goal. We went up 10-7. And we could have very easily, maybe used that touchdown because it would have probably been better off that way too, because it would have been putting us in a better position to actually do better and they'll convert those touchdowns and get those points going and stuff. So that's something we're going to look at here. Like, is it something that we can do to convert better? Getting those more points at it. Do you want to be aggressive? Do you not want to be aggressive? It kind of depends on what you want there. So, Jalen, what you thinking about that? Like, did you disagree with the call, or to go
No,
for a field goal over a touchdown, or what?
yeah, I think a lot of calls throughout the game uh could have been played different. Obviously, I think I the 2 point conversion to me, I love how you're trying to get tricky, but I honestly just didn't like the play call. Others might disagree, but I think if he did better just trying to go for a regular pass and trying to get all tricky, and they had everything covered up. Um, and yeah, a lot of the play calls, other play calls throughout the game, especially, and Mike said it too. We like he just got so lucky that the kicker for Tulane missed that kick, because if you'd have made that kick, essentially the game was over. Like you do a run play on third down, you barely get a couple yards, you go for it on fourth down, deep in Tulane's territory, and you try to throw it side to Zylan Perry, and even if he caught it, he wasn't going anywhere. So they were ultimately going to turn the ball over on downs regardless, and they just got so lucky that Tulane missed that, because Tulane would have made that kick. This conversation would be deeper than what it is, Chief. And I already know what you would be talking about right now if he would have made that kick.
Yeah. So, like, if you look how the game broke down there, when we went up 10-7, they got a 10-10 because at that point you're just trading points. At that point, they got the 3 and out that they did. And then, it took them 3 plays and 5 yards, 38-yard reception return, 17-10 right there. So they kind of shut us out there. And then, like, the field goal, the 31-yard field goal, 17-13. I because, like, it was I was trying to remember what yard line we were on. We were close. It was only a 20-yard field goal that we made. So I'm thinking at that point there, the Cajuns outgained Tulane in total yardage, 413 to 355. Tulane led the time of possession here. The turnovers is what beat the Cajuns here. Tulane didn't. They was not sloppy with the ball. No turnovers. 2 turnovers in that game for the Cajuns. So I mean, that is one that you're going to look at and be like, look, what can we do to be better? And Mike, what you think here? Do you think that was a problem for the Cajuns?
Yeah,
Like the wait, what?
No, I mean, it was a sloppy game all the way around. Like I said, the offense, the offense did look better than last year. I know I was, my first initial things beating up on the whole team. The offense does look better than they were last year. Um, but just overall, it's just a sloppy. And I mean, we, referenced it, the kick return. That's just something that's so rare, and then you allow that to happen. And I felt like that was a big momentum shifter. We came back and scored the very next drive, but at that point, it's like the defense couldn't stop nobody, um, except for the first drive. It was the first drive and the last drive Tulane had that the defense actually held them to no points, and it's just sloppy performance all the way around. And I don't know, it was very discouraging watching that game. It was hard to watch what you thought was a really good team come out and make mistakes that you would think in with a fifth year senior quarterback coming in wouldn't make some of these mistakes. And you would think coaching got a little bit better, and the play calling was pretty rough towards the end. So it's just, I don't know, a lot of sloppiness.
I think the most disappointing thing about the whole entire game itself was how much experience is on this football team. This is a very experienced football team now, and they played sloppy. And so Casey Osai got injured during this game. He's probably not going to be available for the Wake Forest game, from what the reports I've been seeing. So he's looking like he's not going to be ready to go. Cajun's going to be on the road taking on the Deacons of Wake Forest at 2:30 on the ACC network. So that's something that they're looking at here. Wake Forest got blown out by Ole Miss in their last game, 40-6. They lost to Virginia, 31-30. So they are a beatable team. Can the Cajuns do it? Can they beat the Demon Deacons so far this year? Team passing yards, they're seventh in the country in passing, which the Cajuns have done very well in passing. Good for them. Rushing yards, they're 103rd in the country in rushing. Points against, they're 95th. Points for, they're tied for 85th. So they are not good at running the ball very much so there. So it's going to be kind of wondering, okay, what is this team like? What are they going to do? So in that regard, the Cajuns, if you're looking at the inverse, it's always good to look at inverse and see how they're going to do here. The Cajuns are 39th in the country in passing, 48th in the country in rushing. Points for, they're 34th, and points against is 51st. Now, granted, some of those numbers are a little bit inflated because of who we played against. We did not play very quality teams. Grambling and Kennesaw State are not up to the standard of like Tulane. That's basically what I'm saying here with that. They're not on the same level as them. And I thought Tulane was a good measuring stick. And it just did not end well for the Cajuns that one. Now, this Wake Forest game, I want to see what the line is. The line's still at 3 points. So Cajuns are ESPN FPI Football Power Index. Cajuns have a 42% chance of winning this game. So it's higher than I think it should be, even though Wake Forest is not that great of an ACC team. They haven't proven that they're a good team at all. So that is something to look at there. So what is some matchup you're looking at, Mike, with the Cajuns and Wake Forest?
I just want to see if the Cajuns can stop the run. This will be a good test to see if going against a little bit of a bigger team than Tulane. I don't expect there to be that much of a huge difference, but I do expect Wake Forest to have a bigger line and a little bit maybe better of a team. And curious to see if the Cajuns can stop the run this game. If the offense can score points, because that's one thing you got to give kudos. They have been able to put points on the board. So if the Cajuns could keep scoring and can stop the run. They've done really well the past this year. If they stop the run and could keep getting points, the Cajuns have a chance.
Jalen, what you thinking about this upcoming matchup against Wake Forest?
I think well, two things for me. One, can the Cajuns keep momentum? Because like I said, in the game against Tulane, they were doing great in the first half until that pick six came about right at the end and right before halftime, and it just honestly, I felt like it just killed everything from the rest of the game. Even though they were able to score, can they keep momentum going, and like Mike said, can they stop the run? Because that's going to be huge too. Because they were not able to do it this game, but they were able to do it against Kennesaw State and against Grambling. And I know those two teams are not the type of team that Tulane is. But looking at Wake Forest, the only win they have on the season is against NCA&T, which really doesn't say a lot compared to these other schools. But hey, if they're able to stop the run, I think the Cajuns do have a chance against Wake Forest.
Yeah. So this one here, Wake Forest hasn't, proved they were good against the at running the football, and I think that's something to hang your hat on if you're a Cajun fan, and just trying to see where that's going to put you at. It's tough. So I want to know where y'all guys' heads at with this pick here. Y'all picking the Cajuns to pull an upset, Jalen, or what?
Um, I'm going to go with the Cajuns just because losing the Tulane left a bitter taste in their mouth, and they need this victory.
All right, Mike, what you thinking?
Oof, I feel bad. About to feel like the negative Nancy over here for the group here, but I was thinking about this while on my walk earlier, and I don't know where the Cajuns find another win this year. Um, it's and I get that's over dramatic. Third game of the season, jumping the gun, but I just look at how good the Sun Belt conference is this year, and how many steps forward every team in the Sun Belt has taken compared to UL. Just if any taking a step forward, very little, or just staying where they've been. And this Wake Forest team kind of comes after a loss against Tulane. And, I told Chief the game Saturday, I said that this was a huge game to win against Tulane because momentum was going to ride high. And if the momentum was going to be high, we could pull off the win. And coming off a loss against Tulane, I don't know. I don't think the Cajuns can pull off against Wake Forest again. I hope they do. I'll be watching on TV and cheering it on and getting upset, getting happy, getting all my emotions. But I don't see where the Cajuns win another game at this year. It's kind of actually scary.
All right, I'm not gonna go like you, Mike, which I understand. Like, you're kind of like, okay, we're coming off a loss here. How, like, look, I said this at the beginning of the year. If Dez finishes 6-7, he might be very well getting his walking papers here. I know
Yeah,
he
but Chief,
signed a
where do you
5-year.
see 6 wins at?
Look, App State did not look good against South Alabama. Okay,
Okay, so
that
there's your one. There's
there's one
three.
right there. Okay, so look, if I'm looking at the Cajun
You
schedule coming up here, South Alabama looks really good this year, so I can't even say that one would be a win for the Cajuns further down the road. Southern Miss
Wait,
hasn't
so
looked really
but
that good either, so
yeah,
you
Southern
might
Miss. I was
have,
going to say.
but we
yeah,
haven't
Southern
beaten
Miss.
Southern Miss yet. So
Yeah, even though Southern Miss, we were supposed to beat them last year. Like, there was no reason why we should have dropped that game to Southern Miss last year.
but we
No
lost,
reason
so
for
it
it. Yeah. I would say Southern Miss might be a possible winnable. Let me say about winnable games. Let's make that condemnation known. Southern Miss,
Yeah.
App State, I think are winnable games. Now, where will we actually win these? I don't know. That's there. So wins there. That was one of them there. Coastal Carolina. Coastals look good. I don't know if we'll get the job done over there this year or at Texas State. Texas State looks really good. Arkansas State has not looked too impressive either. So that could be the third, the 3 out of the 4 wins for sure. South Alabama, like I mentioned earlier, not liking that chances in that one. I think this might be the year that South Alabama actually really like fully passes us up here. Troy hasn't been what they usually are, so they feel like they're down this year a little bit. Um, and ULM has improved, but how much have they improved? Are they enough to take down the Cajuns? Which I mean they have, but that was in 22 when we foolishly swap quarterbacks in and out and throw the rhythm of the offense out. So out of those 1, 2, there's a path there, Mike. I think, but
ah I
I
don't
think we're
know.
hitting right. I think we're hitting right at 6. If everything breaks the way it should, like in terms of winnable games, I think Troy, ULM, App State, and Southern Miss could be winnable games for the Cajuns. I don't know about Troy, ULM, Arkansas State. Okay, yeah, 3. So there's 5 winnable games on their schedule, and I say winnable that they are possible that they'll actually win those. I don't think they're going to beat Texas State. I don't know about Coastal Carolina yet. I need to see a little bit more from the Cajuns before I make my prognosis on them, trying to put biases aside and stuff like that. So, because I mean, look, we all graduated from UL. We're all just, speaking up
Mhm.
about what's going on.
Yeah, well, and I mean, look, I hope to be wrong. I'm season ticket holder.
Yes,
Been
same here.
invested with this since I was 10 years old. I was there for a lot of the Ricky Bustle years. Growing up in a family that mostly taught you about LSU, and really I didn't know nothing about UL until went to a fan day one day and fell in love with them then. So I'll be the first to be the negative one over here, but the first to be at the game all the time, and no matter what this record is, cheering them on. But I cannot. The Sun Belt has been so much better. If this was 2 years ago, Texas State, South Alabama, those are all easy winning games for us. Monroe's easy win for us. Southern Miss is a chance. Just the Sun Belt, I feel like, is taking a huge leap forward, and I can't say that the Cajuns, they haven't taken a leap forward. It's been back ever since the championship. It's kind of just been that downhill slope.
All right. Well, I think we talked about enough about like what we think here. So, but I am going to pick Wake Forest to win this game, though. I don't feel good about it. I think it's going to this Wake Forest game is going to tell a lot. In the Tulane game, I think told a lot too about where they're at as a team here because you're about 4 games into your season. After Saturday, we're 4 games in. We'll probably be 2-2. I think that's a good prognosis here. I think Wake Forest clears this spread though. I think Cajuns lose by 10. What you thinking, Jalen?
Yeah, so I I did pick the Cajuns, but it's it's going to be super super close. I think the Cajuns win by a field goal
Oh,
or lower than that.
okay. What you thinking, Mike? With score?
I think Wake Forest wins by I go with 14 points.
Okay, that's fair. All right, so we picked the Cajun to Wake Forest. Let's go look at some other ones. South Alabama taking on number 14 LSU. Now, this one I'm intrigued by. Based on how well South Alabama has played this year, you'd be a fool not to. I'm taking the under in this one. I think they're gonna. I think if I'm betting, I'm putting money on South Alabama because I think they will cover that 21. I think LSU is gonna have their hands full in this game. And I know there's some Tiger fans that are probably in this live stream, probably like, Chief, what are you talking about? But go watch the tape on South Alabama. They are better than what people in the SEC and the Power Four are playing them for. They could very well upset LSU, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think LSU does pick up a 10-point win against South Alabama. What you thinking, Jalen?
Yeah, it really is going to be closer than what people think. LSU is going to get the win, but I'll even go lower than that. I think LSU. I'm gonna give it a touchdown.
I'm getting vibes of Troy from 2017. If LSU
Especially,
messes,
I'm gonna say
what
this
go
too,
what
Chief. Especially with the news with Harold Perkins.
yeah, especially that. What you thinking, Mike?
Well, I mean, Chief, I don't know statistic wise, but I think this is probably the second best offense that LSU is going to face this year behind USC. And um, that South Alabama offense is very scary good. They caught me by surprise with how good the offense is. And LSU's defense has held up some games. The UCLA game, their offense wasn't nothing to brag about. They got wiped out by Indiana. They barely beat a Hawaii team. UCLA was, they won pretty big, but nothing too impressive. And like I said, now with Harold Perkins being out, South Alabama got a really good offense, and I wouldn't be surprised if they pull off the upset. But I think LSU wins by 14 points. But I would not put it past South Alabama winning this one. It would not surprise me.
I'm getting vibes of Troy, and that I think that's scary because whenever I talk with Juicy, he's gonna probably argue with me on the next podcast saying you're freaking crazy, Chief. But look, like I cover both ends of the spectrum, and I think that could be very well be an upset pick for sure. That's an attractive one this week. So I mean, if you're like betting on college football games, I would recommend you bet money on South Alabama going under that 21 point there for sure. Ball State taking on James Madison. I got JMU. What you got, Jalen? Oh, I guess we lost. Oh, never mind. This guy's camera turned off. What you think, Mike?
Ah, after what JMU did to North Carolina, I don't know if we consider that an upset or a roadkill. That had to be embarrassing. You know, for North Carolina, I don't know how much money they paid JMU, but pay them all that money, and it wasn't even a close upset. It was an embarrassing. I got JMU winning this one. I feel like a full pick of North Carolina win last week.
Same.
I got to go at JMU beating Ball State. I don't even think it's close.
What about Jalen? What you thinking? Jalen, what you thinking? Oh, he must be kind of this. Oh, he just dropped it. Okay, we'll get back to Jalen whenever he comes back on the live. Texas State, Sam Houston. What you think, Mike?
So this game's played at NRG, and I only know that NRG Stadium. So I was thinking about going, making the trip. I think Texas State wins this game, but it's a good little rivalry game. Not a well-known one, but to the people for both those colleges, it's a good little rival game, and I got Texas State winning this one. But I think it's going to be an interesting matchup.
I got Texas State winning this one. I think they'll take care of business against Sam Houston. 8-point spread. Kind of interested by that a little bit. I think Texas State beats that though. Liberty 4-0 taking on App State 2-2. Oh wait. Okay. Jalen, real quick, Texas State or Sam Houston? Did he hear me?
Yeah, I'm back here
Jalen,
with
Texas State. Okay, Texas State or Sam Houston?
I'm gonna go with Texas State in this one. I think I know we've been talking about this, and I know I keep talking about it, Chiefs, since the beginning. But I love their quarterback wide receiver duo. No, I'm sorry, quarterback running back combination back there in the backfield. I think Texas State is gonna take this one.
All right, Liberty versus App State. Mike, what you think about that game? I got App State winning this one.
I have App State win this one, especially after the embarrassment against South Alabama on Thursday night. I think they do bounce back, but I do expect this to be a close game.
What you thinking, Jalen?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with App State in this one. They did get embarrassed, and it wasn't the same App State team that we thought was gonna beat Clemson a couple weeks ago.
Right?
So
Yeah,
yes,
right.
so they need this win. I'm gonna go with App State.
Georgia Southern taking on Georgia State. Sun Belt Conference matchup there.
Oh,
I'm gonna go with give me Georgia State. I think they'll inches like 3 points. What you thinking, Mike?
So kudos to Georgia State, beating the who I thought was going to win national championship this year with Vanderbilt. Georgia State pulled off that upset at in Atlanta, and uh, I was disappointed to find out Vanderbilt lost their chance of going to a national championship. But I'm going with Georgia State on this one. I think Georgia Southern's still one more year away from being a contender in the Sun Belt. I said at the beginning of the year. I think Georgia State wins this one, but look out for Georgia Southern next year.
Look, Mike, I think you're selling Vanderbilt a little bit short. They could run the table in the SEC. What you thinking, Jalen?
yeah, I'm gonna go with Georgia State, and this.
Western Michigan taking on Marshall. Marshall, their scheme to pull some transfer portal stuff from Ohio State. I don't know if it worked too well. It might. Hey, I kudos to them, man. But I'm gonna go with both these teams ain't really doing too hot this year. I got Marshall winning this one. What do you think, Mike?
So Marshall is looking good at first. Chief and I were looking at the score during the UL game, and we're like, man, Marshall might have a chance, and then Ohio State blew away. I think Marshall has a good team this year. I'm going to go with Marshall.
What you thinking, Jalen?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Marshall in this one. I think it was unfair for them to go against Ohio State and their high-powered offense, but the schedule is the schedule. But I think they're gonna get this one.
All right, Old Dominion taking on Bowling Green. I got Bowling Green winning this one. Old Dominion, they have issues they got to fix. What you thinking, Mike?
I got Old Dominion winning by 10 points.
Okay. What you thinking, Jalen?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Old Dominion also, but I can't believe this team a year ago beat the Cajuns. I'm still kind of shocked about that one, but I'm gonna give them the win against Bowling Green.
Yeah. So last game, UOM taking on Troy. I got Troy winning this one. What you think, Mike?
So Monroe does have a much improved defense over last year. They do have an improved team. I think Troy does pull off the win here, but it's going to be a little bit more competitive than it would have been a few years ago. But give me Troy to win this one.
What you thinking, Jalen?
I mean, come on, y'all. The defense got to be tops in the nation. They picked off Arch Manning twice. I mean, but let me stop. I'm gonna go with Troy in this one. But ULM did improve on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. All right. Well, we went through this here. I think we had a good episode here. Thank y'all for tuning in here to the Fishbowl Radio. We hope you have a great and wonderful night here. Now, I guess everybody's going to go watch them some football because they do have some NFL games on right now. So thank y'all for tuning in here, guys. Anything you want to say before we get off the air here, guys?
I would just say watch out for the soccer team plays against App State. They still got a really good record. They only have one loss on the year against LSU. I do not necessarily remember where volleyball plays this week. Maybe Texas State. I could be wrong. But like I said, soccer plays App State, and they play against Monroe on Sunday in Monroe. So if you have something you want to do or something, check out the soccer team.
Yeah, soccer team is really good this year. What you think of Jalen?
Yeah, I'm glad Mike brought that up because at the last game against Texas State, it did end in a tie, but the Cajuns did have a 1-0 lead throughout most of it. So yeah, check out other sports with the Rage of Cajuns because they're playing great. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm gonna say? Go Cajuns, baby.
Let's do it. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in here to the Fishbowl Radio. We have a great and wonderful night, and we'll see you here next time. Probably have Juicy on later on this week. We're talking about LSU and South Alabama, which is a game I'll be interested in. Seeing what happens. Thank you for tuning in. We have a great, wonderful night. We'll see you here next time on the Fishbowl Radio. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.